Hello everyone, today we will be writing equations of absolute value function given a graph, and I will give you a trick on how to do this really quick. So we have here the first step, we have here the steps, so there's like 3 of them. So our task is we are given a graph. This graph right here is an absolute value function, and we need to determine what is the equation that would work for this graph. First step, we determine the vertex hk. So this is our vertex right here. So this one is 2 and negative 3. So this is 2 and negative 3. Okay, so that's the vertex. We can write that over here. Our vertex is 2 and negative 3. Our next task is to determine the second point. So we need to have 2 points in order that we can determine the equation of the graph. So we're gonna, so that it's fast, you can do it on the left if you want, but let's do it on the right so it's positive. So we are going to, from the vertex, we are going to trace this line in order that we can get to the next point. How do we know that we are on the next, we're on the second point? We are going to trace it up. This one is not on the perfect coordinate. Perfect coordinate means it hits on this little cross. It hits on the cross. So we're going to trace it up. So this is the second point. So I'm going to label this as the second point right here. And then I am going to use the, when I have this already, by the way, this is the trick right here. So I'm gonna put this trick up here so we can use this. So the trick is, in order to find for a, it's written over here. So in order to find for a, we are supposed to determine how many steps do we go from the vertex to the second point. To do that, we are going to first determine the x value. The x value that we put in here and we put into this equation is the number of steps that we go from the vertex to the right. So in this case right here, we are going 1 step to the right. So I'm just going to label this as positive 1. And then to find the y here, the y refers to the number of steps that we go either up or down to get to the second point. So we go up 1, so this is another plus 1. And these are the numbers that we put in here. So the x, this number right here where we went to the right, will go to the x. And this number that we went up will go to the y. So then we go ahead and write the equation over here. So that would be y equals a absolute value of x. Again, our y is this. So that's a 1 equals a. Our x is to the right, and that's 1. So absolute value of 1 times a is just 1. So we can go ahead and say a is equal to 1. So then the equation that would work for this is y equals, our a is 1. By the way, this is the graphing form of absolute value function. Y equals a absolute value of x minus h plus k. So then in this problem right here, we have a is 1, so we don't need to put that. And then that's the absolute value of x minus the h is 2. Remember, this is the h, this is the k. So that's a minus 2 absolute value, and that's a minus 3. And this is the equation for this graph right here. At this time, I would encourage you to pause this video and try this problem out on your own. And when you're done, and pause it and check your answer. Okay, so we go over the problem here. So first, we are going to determine the vertex. So our vertex is right here, and this is 1 and 4. So I'm going to write 1 and 4. So the vertex here is 1 and 4. This represents our h, and that represents our k. So then we are going to trace for the second dot to the right. So, we're going to trace the second dot right here, and let's see, this is the second dot right here. So we put a dot there, and then we are going to trace it. We go 1 step to the right, so that's a plus 1. And then we go down 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to write a minus 3. So then we are going to use the trick that we used from the previous number that we did. So that would be y equals the a absolute value of x. Again, our y is -3. So I'm going to write -3 over here. And then our a is missing. And the x here is, it's right here, the 1. So then we can go ahead and absolute value of 1 is just 1. So this is just a is equal to -3. And so we can write our equation as y equals the a, this is the equation right there, y equals -3 absolute value of x, the h is -1, and then the k is +4. Did you get the same answers as this? Good. Perfect. Now let's move on to the third example here. At this time, again, I would encourage you to pause this video and try this problem out on your own. And when you're done, unpause it and check your answer. Okay, so we go over the problem here. First, we determine the vertex. Our vertex for this is -2. So that's -2 and -3. So then vertex here is -2, -3. That's the h and that's the k. So then we go ahead and trace to the right. Let's see, where is that second dot? The second dot is up here. So I'm going to put a dot there, and then I am going to count. That is +1 because it's to the right, and then I'll count up there. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is a +4. So then from here we use the trick that we just used from the previous numbers that we did. So that is y equals a absolute value of x. Again, our y is 4 equals a, our x is 1. And so 1 times a is just a is equal to 4. So then from here, we can write our equation as y equals, our a is 4, absolute value of x minus -2, absolute value -3. So negative of a negative will turn into a positive. So that's y equals 4, absolute value of x plus 2 minus 3. The trick is just change this. So if that is a that's a -2, just change it to a +2. If this is a +2, then this would have been a -2. So just switch the sign. That's the fastest way. Or you can show it also this way. That should be good. Did you get the same answer as this? Good. Perfect. Now let's move on to the fourth example. At this time, I would encourage you to pause this video and try this fourth example out on your own. And when you're done, unpause it and check your answer. Okay, so we go over the problem here. So it's pretty much the same thing. We are going to determine the vertex. Our vertex for this is -3 and then -1. Okay, so we are going to write the vertex here. Vertex is -3, -1. This represents the h, this represents the k. We trace the line to the right to get to the second dot. So let's trace it, and it's up here. So that second dot is right here. So then we are going to trace it. This would be, we go to the right. Let's count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's a +5. Then we go up here. That would be a +2 because we go up 1 and 2. So then again, we are going to use the trick that we did from the previous problems. That is, we use this equation right here. So that would be y equals a absolute value of x. Our y here is 2. And then we don't know the a. Our x is 5. And so absolute value of 5 is just 5. So 2 equals 5a. So then we divide both sides by 5. I divide this by 5. So then we can go ahead and say a is equal to 2/5. So then we can write our equation as y is equal to 2/5. Absolute value of x, again switch it, +3 minus 1. So this is our equation right here. Did you get the same equation as this? Good. Perfect. If you found this video helpful, hit like and subscribe for more math videos. See ya!